The U.S. warning China it could face devastating sanctions if it defies the ban on doing business with Russia. This is a move that could have huge impact on American companies. Take a look at just some of the S&P constituents with heavy China exposure. Qualcomm deriving nearly 70% of its revenue from China. Texas Instruments, Broadcom, other semiconductor names also on that list. So what happens if D.C. goes after Beijing? Let's bring in DeWardrick McNeil, Longview Global Managing Director and Senior Policy Analyst. He's also a CNBC contributor. DeWardrick, great to see you again.
Great to see you also, Melissa.
This seems like a really tough decision for the Biden administration to make if they're still actually weighing this, because it would really hurt a U.S. industry and hurt these U.S. players very, very deeply if they decided to go down this route.
It's true, Melissa, that this could have some real implications for U.S. businesses. China is not quite like Russia, given the size of its market and the degree to which many U.S. companies are integrated into this market. But China is also very concerned here about the threat of secondary sanctions. They're trying to have it both ways here, Melissa, and thread the needle. They want to do just enough to avoid those secondary sanctions, but there are also a lot of opportunities here for Chinese companies if they could figure out and modulate just where those red lines are. But we have no idea because we haven't had a test case yet. One hopes that we do not, but we may see one in the case of Union Pay. As you'll recall, when MasterCard and Visa left Russia, the Russians have suggested that Union Pay, which is a Chinese credit card payment system, might be used instead. So we'll have to see if this is the example or if there are other examples out there in the banking or the tech sector. But this is fraught with risk for both sides, the U.S. and China, Melissa.
Well, there are reports as well, DeWardrick, as you know, that China is considering buying Russian oil assets or buying stakes in Russian oil companies. And since we have a position of banning Russian oil, I would think that that would really trigger secondary sanctions, if not, move the conversation much closer to considering them.
This is a good point you make, Melissa. It's not just looking for opportunities to buy stakes in Russian oil, but even companies like Rusal, which is a Russian mineral company. You see statements about companies like Chinalco, a Chinese mining company, Chinamin Metals, all looking for opportunities to increase their investments and stakes in Russian companies. But as you well put, Melissa, we don't know if this will trigger those secondary sanctions that I think many of us are waiting to see sort of what are those red lines. But we don't have a test case just yet.
DeWardrick, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. So I don't know if you saw those numbers we put up about how much Intel and a bunch of others do business in China. That is a tremendous game of chicken. Who do you think has the most to lose?
Well, this is one of those situations where we've tied ourselves at the ankles and we're both sinking. Something like this were to happen. But you're right, Karen. There's a lot of Intel chips within some of these technology companies that are doing business in Russia. And in theory, that could trigger secondary sanctions. We just don't know. But again, it is important to note that we will all suffer if China finds itself on the secondary sanctions list, particularly in the tech sector, because we are so integrated, even though we're trying to decouple. That has not happened yet, Karen.
So, DeWardrick, in recent days, we've seen a number of companies announce that they're pulling out, they're suspending operations in Russia, they're pulling out of Russia without even sanctions, without any actual force. But it's a decision they've made themselves. Just optically, it's better for them. And I'm wondering if you view companies with significant presences in China, are they at risk in some way? I mean, if we go down the road of secondary sanctions, it seems to me that perhaps companies would face that same sort of pressure to perhaps curtail business, which would be a tremendous impact.
Yeah, also a good question. I suspect that these companies with operations in China, and if it's a Starbucks or a McDonald's or an Apple, for example, these companies are ubiquitous in China. You can find them on every corner. I don't suspect that there will be threat of secondary sanctions if they are continuing to operate in China. Where that could become an issue, Melissa, and let's hope that doesn't happen ever, but if there was some sort of threat against Taiwan. But again, China is a very different issue with respect to those companies than Russia. Let's take Apple, for example. 1.4% of Apple's revenue comes from Russia. 19% comes from China. So again, as I mentioned with Karen, we're tied at the ankle here, unfortunately, and this would have some real repercussions if those companies were to find themselves on a secondary sanctions gambit between the U.S., Russia, and China. But I don't think that will happen in this scenario.
I'm not breaking any news here, but our politicians, we have to, presidential election every 4 years. They don't. Their guy is going to be there for the rest of his life. So by definition, they're better suited to play the long game. Should we dismiss that, or is that an important element in this equation?
Well, I think you're right to point out that Xi is not necessarily answerable the way Biden is to an electorate, but the Chinese Communist Party have to continue to deliver. Their whole issue around what they consider to be their case for continuing to govern is that the Chinese economy is doing well, Chinese people are doing relatively well. If this were to not be the case, I suspect we would have real issues around political stability and economic instability. So Xi does not have a completely free hand with respect to how he governs the economy. And again, secondary sanctions could trip up a lot of different jeopardies for Xi Jinping going into a party Congress here in the fall.